I mean it. The mayor of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Walt Maddox. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm having a great morning.
Listen, I don't know what you're doing. You should look, like Obama went into office and he's leaving office and he's grayer and he's got more wrinkles and the stress shows. You look younger than you did the last time I saw you. What kind of moisturizing cream do you use, Walt Maddox?
Hey, clean living, man. Clean living. Try to exercise every morning. I have a great family that keeps me young, and so, hey, maybe that's it. I don't know what it is. Genetics.
I need you to explain, break this down for me if you don't mind. When you use terms I don't understand, exercise, what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
What, you don't?
So, I know you're a runner, aren't you?
Yes.
Every day?
Most days, 5 days a week.
How far? How much?
Between 4 to 6 miles.
Is there a track or outside on the street, or do you want to reveal where you run? I mean,
well, there could be a little danger in that. No, I'm a member of the downtown YMCA, so normally we start down there anytime between 5:45 and 6. Run a few miles, take a shower, go to work.
Unbelievable to me that anybody does that. Anybody.
Right.
More power to you.
Hey, it keeps you sane, though. I mean, literally, we were talking about how do you manage all the stresses.
Mm-hmm.
It is the thing that keeps me sane and hopefully keeps me effective in what I do.
It's working for you. A former radio partner of mine in Birmingham called Walt Maddox the best-looking mayor in America. Can you confirm, or do you want to deny that, or what?
I can't confirm or deny, but I will say she's very smart. She knows what she's talking about.
She used to call her the best-looking mayor in America. So, perfect timing having you here today as we anticipate this weather that we may be getting. What has the city done to be prepared, or what's the routine as we anticipate some potential travel problems maybe tomorrow night into Saturday?
Well, we have a protocol that we follow at the city. We started enacting it on Monday. We've been getting the final pieces in play. I've got a 3:15 staff meeting this afternoon, which will get all the final parts in place. But basically for the city of Tuscaloosa is making sure that we have all of our procedures in place, our processes in place. Winter storms are a little bit difficult because we're in this fine line between freezing rain, snow, which complicates situation. So we'll be holding over staff. We'll be dispersing resources throughout the city. We have historical data on hot spots. We'll use all of that to formulate a plan. The hard part, though, is that you just don't know until it happens. The good news for Tuscaloosa is that, quite frankly, with us playing the national championship game on Monday, that we're in a national holiday here. Or
Anyway, we're in at least a 3-day holiday. We all stay inside.
That's right. The second thing is school is out, K-12 and higher education, so we don't have to worry about that aspect of it. So
it's good timing, right?
It is good. If it's going to happen, hey, this is the time for it.
Right. Are you going to Tampa for the game, or with the weather and everything, are you holding down the fort here in Tuscaloosa? What are your plans?
I have no plans. I'm going to stay here in Tuscaloosa. I got work on Tuesday, so I'm like everyone else. I'm going to
Right
watch it on television. Yeah.
Beautiful. Very nice. I'm going to be all over the place this morning. I sat down last night with a piece of paper and I'm just a stream of conscious writing down things we wanted to ask the mayor this morning. And I read the sound off in the Tuscaloosa News first thing. You look at that, man?
No, I don't let that negative energy come my way. I try to keep positive energy.
I understand. I can tell that. Well, I got to go there first thing because we mentioned it the other week, and somebody called and said, ask Walt Maddox when he's in, so we will. Tuscaloosa News sound off, quote, city building hotels and apartments too close to roads. It is dangerous. Why do they do this?
Well, number one, the city doesn't build hotels or apartments. I think a lot of times, one of the great exaggerations that I've seen in the last few years is people's expectations of what government actually does. Government doesn't build apartments. Government doesn't build hotels. Now, certainly, we try to do things like infrastructure and zoning that promotes it, but ultimately, that's between the private developer and the company. The second is close to the roads. It's been shown through study after study that when you move structures closer to the road, it creates better pedestrian access, slows traffic down, and actually creates a safer environment. Now, that's data. Data doesn't always mean anything in politics, because a lot of times, I remember a professor when I was getting my master's said, in politics, there are two parallel lines. One is logic, the other one's emotion, and the two shall never meet.
Aha. And that's hard sometimes, though, isn't it?
It is hard in my job, because no matter what logic and data may say, if someone's emotional about it, it's unlikely you're going to move their position.
That's why Meg and I are going to be a good radio team. I'm all emotion and she's all logic. So
Right?
Together, I think we can go places.
You can make it happen.
Absolutely. Okay, Jeff Sessions is going to be the Attorney General for Donald Trump. Point blank, I want you to name names. Who do you think would be a great replacement for Jeff Sessions in the Senate?
Oh, well, I mean, I think the bullpen's obviously deep. I know Jim Byard is the ADECA director. He's a former mayor of Prattville. I've known him well throughout the years. I lean towards mayors because every day we've got to make things happen. We don't get the opportunity just to talk about. And
y'all are where the rubber meets the road,
you're
right?
right. You got to make things happen. And the problem in government is that it's not Republican or Democrats, that no one's getting anything done.
Right.
And so I tend to think that somebody that's been a mayor, been at the local level, had to work on a bipartisan basis, would be a good candidate. But the governor seems to have a lot of good choices, and I'm sure he'll make the best pick for Alabama.
Now, you mentioned one name. Is that who you would support for that appointment?
That's it. You know, that's who I would think. But there's a lot of good names out there. I mean, you know, you got Bill Poole here locally who interviewed for the job. And Bill does a tremendous job representing this area. So you got a lot of good candidates. So I wouldn't say I prefer one or the other.
Okay.
It's not my decision to make.
Gotcha.
Thankfully.
Okay, next hot topic. Tomorrow at about this time, actually it'll be about 9 o'clock tomorrow, Deontay Wilder will join us as he gets ready for his big February fight, his comeback fight. We're huge fans of the champ. So happy that he's right here in the Tuscaloosa area. We want him to fight in Tuscaloosa, and everybody says that, and he keeps having to go to Birmingham and other places. What is the problem from your perspective, Mayor Walt Maddox? What can we do to get a fight in Tuscaloosa? And is this something you would personally embrace and help get done?
It absolutely is something we want to have happen. A couple of years ago, we missed, when I say we, the city promoted an opportunity. Quite frankly, there wasn't a lot of excitement within the past administration at the University of Alabama, and it didn't happen, and it went to Birmingham. And I hate that didn't manifest itself, but so be it. Fast forward, we recently have been working with Deontay Wilder and his group. The university was all in, the city was all in. Unfortunately, because of timing, we couldn't make it work.
Was that the problem?
Timing, ultimately.
Okay.
You've got a February fight. Coleman Coliseum is men's basketball, gymnastics. And it's not that you need a facility for one night. You need a facility for a span of days.
Right.
But the city and the university worked closely together. We just couldn't make it happen. The BJCC was available, and Deontay's big time, and you can't put him in the amphitheater because that's weather. You're getting into weather issues. It's not large enough. So Coleman is the only venue in Tuscaloosa that can hold such a fight. I do believe it'll happen. In fact, the university and the city are sending joint staffs to Birmingham to watch how it's done, to see how the mechanics of it work. And we wouldn't be doing that. Deontay's people wouldn't be encouraging us to do that if we're not serious in getting a fight in Tuscaloosa. And this is the thing I love about Deontay Wilder. It would have been easy for that guy to say, you know what, I'm big time, man. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Los Angeles. I'm going to Las Vegas.
Many guys would have done it.
And you know what? Who could have blamed him?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Hey, you've earned that right. And that guy, he said, Tuscaloosa, Alabama's my home. Alabama's my home. Man, we definitely have to figure out a way to get him here. But I will say that in this process, the university and city worked closely together. Timing wasn't our friend, but
you haven't given up.
Well, God knows. No, we're going to do everything that we can to make it happen.
I like hearing that. We have to take a break. You're here for a little bit to
hang
out with us before you get about the city's business. We appreciate that. We're with Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox as we prepare here on your Winter Storm Watch information radio station, 95.3 The Bear. A few interesting questions and unusual questions, I think, unique questions to ask the mayor when we come back, including, I just want to know, I'm just nosy, I want to know if he's got Nick Saban's phone number. No, we won't call if you do, because Nick's busy, but we'll find out in just a minute on 95.3 The Bear. Here, Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox. It's Blake Shelton and Boys Around Here. Dedicate that to the mayor this morning. I think this song's probably what he listens to when he runs 127 miles every morning before he goes to work, whatever it is.
It's on the iPod repeat.
It's on the iPod repeat, yeah. 95.3 The Bear is your official winter storm weather information station. The latest, we've had James Spann on this morning, the weather service. Just about everybody all telling us we're looking at maybe about 2 inches. Perhaps it should start with some flurries tomorrow, and then the snow and whatever falls from the sky will intensify as you go through the day. But in the afternoon and evening, maybe some significant travel problems tomorrow. We'll be here throughout the weekend, of course, on 95.3 The Bear, live, local. Proud of it to keep you updated on this weather. And cold this weekend with highs in the 30s and lows down in the 20s, and wind chills making it feel even colder. And Mayor Maddox says the city is prepared for whatever happens this weekend. So that is certainly good to hear this morning. When we last left you, Meg and I are curious, and we wanted to know if you, to get our hands on the mayor's phone. If he steps out for coffee, I swear I'm going to look and see who his contacts are. I wonder if Nick Saban's, does he have Nick Saban's phone number?
Just do a little sneaky scroll.
I would love that. Can you imagine the phone shams we could do with his phone? So do you have Nick's phone? Nick, do you have Coach Saban's phone number? How does that work if you wanted to talk to him?
Yes. And we have, again, a very not much of a, what I would say, a relationship in the sense that he doesn't need me to coach a football team, and I don't need him to run a city. So
You mean he didn't call you and say, "Hey, should Lane be in the press box Monday night or not?" He didn't bounce that off.
No, he didn't. But Coach actually is it's so funny to see the national media and how they portray Coach Saban versus what we know him here. And him and Miss Terry are unbelievable community servants. I saw that firsthand during the tornado and what Coach Saban meant to so many people. We were talking off air about how when we saw such devastation and Coach Saban would go out and hand somebody a water bottle and they've lost their home, but yet you would have thought they just won the lottery.
That was everything to those people.
It was. And for Coach Saban to allow his team to come out and embrace the city that loves him, we'll be, as a city, forever grateful for what he did and what Miss Saban did for Tuscaloosa.
Tell us, you were speaking off the radio. It was one of those moments. I just wanted to open the microphone about your conversation. I think you said at some point with Coach Saban on the phone, and it was during the tornado recovery period, and that emotional glimpse that most people don't see with Coach.
Well, it was. I can't remember how it sequenced, but it was a few days after the tornado, and Coach Saban gave me a call just to check in, see how I was doing, see if he could do anything for the city. We had the Louisiana Search and Rescue Team that was here doing amazing work for the city. They were getting ready to go back home, and the first event post-tornado was going to be an Alabama-LSU baseball game. And the Louisiana Search and Rescue Team asked if Coach Saban and Miss Terry would come by their fish fry and gumbo. They were going to be there, and our fire and rescue was going to send them off as a celebration. And of course, him and Miss Terry spent 3 hours out there.
Oh, wow.
Taking pictures.
Nice.
Again, to those guys in the Louisiana Search and Rescue who are all LSU fans,
Yeah.
It means everything.
Yeah.
it meant everything. But during that conversation, you could hear, most time when you do have interaction with Coach Saban, he's very to the point, as you can imagine. You could hear the real emotion of how he felt about this community, how much he loved Tuscaloosa, and that, he felt the pain that so many people were going through, and that this was his home. And, I can tell you that I saw hundreds of people who were provided hope because the Sabans went out and made sure that the people of Tuscaloosa saw them, felt them, touched them. Most people never touch an Alabama football coach. We were talking off air. The most powerful person in Alabama is not the governor.
No.
It's Coach Nick Saban.
No question
That's
about
right.
it.
Yeah.
And to get your picture made with Nick Saban,
It's a big deal.
it is a big deal.
Yes.
And I will always appreciate the Sabans and what they gave back to Tuscaloosa.
You saw up close and personal the emotional Nick Saban. Most people never get that opportunity.
No, and certainly he was the right man at the right time, not only for football, but for this community.
Yeah.
And you were the right man at the right time. There's no question about that. People that maybe they weren't the biggest Walt Maddox fans or supporters prior, but you showed that you are made of the right stuff the way you handled that tornado and the recovery of this city. And as someone who loves it and had lived here and left and has come back since, what a remarkable recovery. This is not the same place. It is better, in my humble opinion, on every single front. My question to you is, when you first came through the doors, you said you ain't seen nothing yet. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think our best days are in front of us. I mean, you look at what we've been able to accomplish in the face of one of the worst economic recessions in American history, one of the worst natural disasters the community has faced in history. We've been able to do the remarkable, and I believe that the best is in front of us because now we're getting our infrastructure improved. We've come back from the tornado, and the conditions are in place with the growth of the university, the growth of Mercedes. And the growth of the university, sometimes we think about students, but it's beyond that. Think about the number of faculty and staff. 500 more faculty and staff will be coming on board at the university. We doubled the alumni base who will want to come back and invest in Tuscaloosa. All these things are rolling.
Mayor Maddox, we had 17,000 students back in my day here. Now what is it, 40-something almost?
It's close to 40,000, and that growth,
Unbelievable.
that growth is good for Tuscaloosa. I know sometimes it comes with its liabilities, but you would rather have those liabilities because
yeah.
a growing community is much easier to manage than one that's declining.
We'll love some growing pains.
And one of the things that I love the most about what you and the city council have been able to accomplish in the recovery effort is not that you built back, but it's like you say, it's better, stronger, and smarter. It's in the details. It's in, the small parks, places like Bowers Park that are different, that have new equipment, places like the new Gateway Center. I think it's so cool the way the city continues to innovate and grow.
Well, we had to, under the 12.5% of the city that was destroyed, 71% of the housing was rental with a median income of less than $25,000. We had nearly $1 billion worth of depleted infrastructure within that zone.
12.5% of the city destroyed in the tornadoes?
Yes. And so we had the poorest of the poor impacted with the worst conditions you can imagine. So we had to take some initial steps that were slow, but we had to plan it out. And now that we've come to this point, we see that the right decisions were made. Now, it doesn't mean we got everything right, but the overall strategic effort was right on point, and we're going to continue to make good things happen.
But it's incredible. We went to the Gateway Center. I love it.
Isn't it cool?
It's like the crown jewel here in Tuscaloosa. Have you been, Steve?
I have, and downtown I love too. We've become hip and cool.
Hey, you know what?
We're hip and cool,
And
brother.
It's gonna get better.
And it's going to get better. You ain't seen nothing yet. That almost sounds like a campaign slogan.
Hey, you know what? Maybe go to waltmaddox.com.
I love you. All right, another segment with Mayor Walt Maddox coming up in just a moment. Hang on for that. We're going to talk about, okay, so we know we can call Nick Saban, and rightly so. Wonder if he has President Obama's phone number. And that may be a phone sham. Don't move. A weekend's a little dicey weather-wise, to say the least. 95.3 The Bear, your official winter storm watch information station, here for the run to keep you updated. As of now, according to the Weather Service, and James Spann, who is the man, who was with us live about 7:30, kind of bring us up to speed on what we're looking at, Meg, this weekend.
So we're looking at a chance of 1 to 2 inches of snow and sleet. That's specifically along the I-20-59 corridor. So here in Tuscaloosa, we could see up to 2 inches of snow. And the latest that we heard from James Spann is that we could see snowflakes as early as 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. However, the bulk of this is going to come into the evening and overnight hours. So Friday night, I would say get home, put a fire in the fireplace, get some hot cocoa, don't go anywhere, you're going to be good to go.
Anticipate the ball game Monday, and as the mayor said, it's basically a 3-day holiday weekend in T-Town.
Roll Tide.
Let's make the most of it. But some significant travel problems are possible, especially heading into the afternoon tomorrow and the evening. We're here all weekend to keep you updated on 95.3 The Bear. So I asked you a minute ago about being able to just call Dick Saban as the mayor of the city. Of course you can. And then something came up that you have Obama's phone number?
Well,
How did that happen? What's going on, Mayor?
One of the
Give it up.
unique experiences of my life is when the president came on 2 days following the tornado. I had the opportunity to ride with him for 2 hours through the city. And he really, what was very interesting about the interaction is when we got to Holt Elementary was the last stop, we were supposed to depart, and the president asked the governor and I to ride with him back to the airport. And so as we were riding back...
So it's you, Bentley, and Obama in the car, right?
That's right. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm so tired, hadn't slept in 2 days. I'm really not understanding the moment. But every now and then I would catch the American flags flapping in the front of the car. And then you would see these...
Are you in the limousine?
Well, we
The
were in the
presidential-
SUV.
SUV?
We were in the SUV, but
Yeah.
they still had the flags
How
on.
surreal was this? I mean, did you...
At first it really was business because we were just focused
Right.
on the business of trying to get through everything.
Yeah.
But by the end, it really began to sink in, this experience that I'm having. And part of me said, Walt, absorb this because this is probably once in a lifetime. And so as we're going back, we started talking about our daughters, how they deal with being in political life. And then it shifted to, sports. And he was telling me which Alabama players got drafted because I hadn't watched. The draft was that night.
And he knew.
He knew. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, he has time to watch ESPN. Hell, I can't even.
The most powerful man in the free world.
Yeah, he must have a good cable package at the White House. So
You need to upgrade your people at that point, so you have that kind of time.
That's right. And so my phone keeps ringing the whole time. And we both had Blackberries at the time. He said, let me see your Blackberry.
No.
Yeah. So he takes my Blackberry and he says, here's mine.
No. You're making this up.
No, this is
with
a
all
true
due
story.
respect. He said, "Here's mine."
Yeah, here's mine. And he starts talking about, I think he said, I can only have 14 or 15 people on my phone because of security reasons. But he really likes it. And we were talking about the iPhone, but we both like the BlackBerry because it's easier to type messages. I mean, to me, I'm at an iPhone now. The BlackBerry is much easier to text or email at the time. So what happens, we get back and he leaves and I get back to a staff meeting and somebody asks me about the experience and I share the same story I just shared with you. Well, then obviously the rumor starts going around that the mayor's got the president's cell phone. So
No.
fast forward a week later, we're in a meeting with FEMA and HUD and we're having issues getting temporary housing into our city.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I know.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Issues with the federal government.
really.
And so the meeting is heated. And finally, I get heated. And it takes a lot for me to get really angry and start pounding the table.
Do you do that though? I mean, you have those moments.
Rarely do I do. And then all of a sudden, the head of the HUD delegation said, Mayor, do not call the president. I promise you, we will be able to. And I looked at him, I said, don't make me.
Don't make me call Barack Obama.
And so, I let the rumor go out that I had the president's cell phone number.
That's a Clint Eastwood moment. Don't make me.
Don't
I
make
can
me.
just see that. I got goosebumps when you said that.
By
man.
God, don't make
By
me.
God, I'll call him right now.
I will text him right now. I'm number 16 on that list. He loves my emojis, by God.
What a great story.
But I will say this, President and Miss Obama were terrific. I know people have their feelings one way or the other.
I don't like him.
Okay, well, but I will say
But
this.
your story made me like him a little more, I gotta tell you.
You get to see a very humanistic side, and many times they stopped off camera and met with people that I can guarantee you I don't think voted for the president.
And they knew it.
And they knew it, but they would hug and talk to him, and I'm glad he came to our city because he's our president. Whether we voted for him or not, he's our president. And if Trump comes, whether we're for him or against him, he's our president, and we need to embrace it and be thankful for the opportunity.
Mayor Walt Maddox, our guest on 95.3 The Bear, Steve Shannon Morning Show with Meg Summers. You led me right into where I wanted to go next with that and talking about Obama and the party affiliation and all that and Trump. You're a registered Democrat.
Yes.
Some say that if you decide to run for governor and you have those aspirations, or maybe Congress, whatever, that you can't win in Alabama as a Democrat anymore, that you would have to maybe change your party affiliation. Would you ever change your party affiliation to run for higher office?
Well, you never say never, but I would doubt it for this reason, is that I am who I am because I believe government can be effective. And you have many people, for the sake of political gain, change parties. And that's their decision. There's nothing I can do about that.
Hey, Ronald Reagan was a Democrat.
But I'm authentic in who I am and what I believe. Now, I'm a fiscal conservative, but I do believe that government has a role, whether it's in pre-K or improving our infrastructure and giving the private sector the tools to do what they do is best, and that's to be successful in capitalism every single day. You know what, though? Those decisions are down the horizon. Right now, I'm focused on March 7th, running for re-election as mayor. And the really great thing about being mayor is it's nonpartisan. You don't have to be Republican. You don't have to be Democrat. Whether your toilet flushes and it gets to the sewer plant, or whether we pick up your garbage, or whether we have enough police officers or fire stations, those are not Republican or Democratic issues. And I believe both parties could learn a lesson from what we do at the local level. And let me just say this, and this is my own political analysis, and it's worth a cup of coffee, because that's about all you probably get for it, is I think both parties need to be very careful in how they look at the Trump election. Trump's election was not about the Republicans or Democrats. It's about people who are tired of the federal government and state government not fulfilling their job.
And we're all tired of it.
And that's why you saw a lot of support. And people better be careful. Trump is more of a movement of people who want to see government work. And
the Democrats need to learn this lesson, right?
I think they do. They need to Democrats must create a new covenant. We must move away from thinking of entitlement to enrichment to enhancement. Those are going to have to be different ideas and different policies that we put in place. On many of the issues, we're on the right side, but we do a poor job of explaining. And I think that there's going to be opportunities in the future, but focusing on now, both parties need to be put on the 2-minute warning, because people are expecting results. And I will say this, I like the way the president has gone after these big companies who are threatening to leave our country and say, no, you're not. That's the kind of bravado.
Trump, you're talking about Trump, President-elect.
Yeah. President-elect Trump. I think that's the kind of bravado that people want to see out of their elected officials, and thus far, I'd say he's delivering.
Walt Maddox predicts the championship game results with a score that he says, quote, we can take to the bank. And we come back for our final segment with the mayor. Just a minute on 95.3 The Bear. Hang on.
Rucker, he's been to Tuscaloosa a couple of times. I've had a shot of whiskey 2 times with Darius Rucker. So
really?
Yeah. He starts every show before he goes on stage with a shot of whiskey, and both times Darius Rucker was here, we've had a rain emergency. We've had to empty the amphitheater.
Yeah.
So I've been
lot more than one shot of whiskey when that happens, right?
We pass around the bottle. We're going to lose how much money tonight? But
well, my friend, my former partner, she used to call you America's best-looking mayor. I may have to dub you America's coolest mayor here that you're doing shots with Darius Rucker before the shows, man. And I love the amphitheater, too. That was so cool to get back and see the quality of people that we're able to bring into Tuscaloosa now. Fantastic.
It is a fantastic venue. It's exciting to see. It was on a former landfill. Now, think about that. Isn't that awesome? We took a landfill, made it an amphitheater, and $42 million worth of private investment. The capital, the beautiful thing about capitalism is if we can make the right investments, it will grow around it. And to see the Hotel Indigo, Embassy Suites, the mixed-use development, and it's only going to get better and better and better.
Man, it's just growing so fast. It's not like it used to be.
It's too close to
My
the-
sister and I used to enjoy it. It was never had a parking problem. There wasn't any traffic. It was just great. What have you done to this place?
You sound like my mom.
You need to just slow down.
Oh, it's fantastic. But you do hear that sentiment, don't you?
You do, and you have to balance that with, and I understand it, but the thing is, there's never a such thing as status quo. You're moving one way or the other. For a city, you're going to either be growing or dying. We had to make the decision to grow, and it does have growing pains. Not everything's perfect. There are areas of our city that continue to need investment. We're not oblivious to that. It's balancing all of that, but you want to be growing, because if you're in the reverse, that means you're going to have high taxes, you're going to have bad infrastructure, you're going to have higher crime. So we're in a very good position, and we do it with the lowest tax rate of any city in Colorado.
Ah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
A couple of things real quick before you get about the city's business today. Mayor Walt Maddox, our guest on The Bear this morning at 9:16. Number one, give me us a figure, if you would, this morning about revenue generated by Alabama football for the city. What are we looking at?
Well, it generates about $18 million into our economy when we have an
$2
Alabama.
million.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Indirectly, you could probably take a multiplier of 5 to that. How many times those dollars would roll around?
Wow.
In direct tax revenue for the city, probably around $400,000. Now we spend about $200,000 in game day operations for police, fire, all the other public service apparatuses that we have put in place. But still, it's a good, healthy day for us.
Mayor, should we, proud Tuscaloosans, go to bed every night and thank sweet Jesus in heaven for Alabama sports and Mercedes?
Absolutely.
No question about it?
No question about it. And, a lot of times people say, well, Tuscaloosa wouldn't be anything without the University of Alabama. And I sit there and think, well, every city has something that distinguishes itself. We're lucky to have a university because universities tend to be recession-proof. And so we've been able to, when you depend on one segment of your economy, let's say to be manufacturing, if that sector fails, your city fails. We've been very fortunate that we have this great diversity that's led by the university.
So one of the things for me, you're talking about the university, but you talk about Mercedes. My husband works for a tier 1 Mercedes supplier, and that's something that I never thought about until he got that job. You just think of the plant, that there are so many other people who have jobs at these other plants because of Mercedes,
It's the
and then we
gift that-
continue to grow.
The
It's
gift
amazing.
that keeps on giving, right?
Yeah.
It's on and on and on. Trickle down.
1 in 10 jobs in Tuscaloosa County are directly related to Mercedes.
1 in 10?
1 in 10.
Wow.
And we've got an opportunity over the last few years to really get to know Mercedes, and they just completed a $1.3 billion expansion. And the good news for Tuscaloosa, it could be possible, now knock on wood, when Dr. Zetcher retires, then it could be that the next head of Daimler could be a Tuscaloosa alumni. Several of the top candidates that are mentioned for that job, the head of all Mercedes Daimler worldwide, could have been.
That's ginormous.
Yes.
It's incredible.
So Tuscaloosa is well.
You want to name
positioned.
some names?
No, I won't do that. But that's important for Tuscaloosa because Mercedes, as we continue to be globalized, having the Tuscaloosa plant being strong is important for the next 30 to 40 years. Having someone who's been here, worked here, has lived in Tuscaloosa, sent their children to our public schools. Yeah, that's important.
Huge. On your to-do list that most of us aren't privy to seeing, when you doodle on your legal pad in terms of things you want to get done, feel free to break some news this morning before we wrap up here, Mayor. You know we love that. I haven't done my job if you don't break some news on this show this morning. What is something that you are working, that you are planning to work, something deep in the recesses of Walt Maddox's mind that you want to get done?
There's several. Number one is that the last.
Oh, you didn't miss a beat.
No, I know. Trust
I
me.
love that.
Well, I'm consumed by, except for Stephanie, Taylor, and Eli, I am consumed by this job. So it's always on my mind.
You're the Nick Saban of mayors.
You know what? That's almost as good as a compliment as being the best looking. Almost as good. Almost as
You're
good.
focused, man.
I'm still going style over substance.
I know you are.
But for me, the revitalization of West Tuscaloosa, we've spent the last 11 years investing, and now we're to the point, for the first time in my career, that investment has made the difference. We actually now have companies that we don't have to go to try to drag into West Tuscaloosa. We now have companies saying, hey, what about this being available? What about this being available? So with the infrastructure projects coming that way, I'm really excited. Number two is hopefully in the next month to 2 months, I'll be announcing a scholarship plan. I really want the things that I worry most about is having a workforce that's ready for tomorrow. Think about how many jobs we're going to continue to lose to technology, whether it's through 3D printing, robotics. do we have a workforce that's ready? And I've been working with the Dr. Darius with Tuscaloosa Schools. We've got a pretty innovative plan that I'm looking forward to hopefully putting on the table that we can get up to the council for discussion. Number 3 is continuing our infrastructure projects. We're getting ready to begin about $300 million worth of infrastructure improvements over the next 10 years. I know all of you hate those orange cones. I know all of you hate
I don't hate
construction
it. That's
sites.
progress. That's
Yeah.
growth. That's
It is.
positive.
And right now,
I see one and I think, cha-ching.
hey, you know what? There are cities that are dying because they don't have roads, water,
Oh, yeah.
sewer, fiber.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Take it every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
It's a positive.
It's absolutely an industry that wants to come to your city. They see that.
That doesn't mean we can't complain about it, but still, at
Oh,
the
yeah.
end of the day, anybody with a brain gets it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You got to have it if you want to be successful.
You better believe
So
it.
those are 3 things. There's a lot of things, but those are the 3 top things that come to mind.
All right, I want you to wrap with a regret, a do-over. If you had a do-over, how long you been mayor?
Almost 12 years.
12 years. In that 12-year reign, if you had a do-over, what kind of nags at you a little bit? Something you'd like another shot at?
There's several. I mean, I wish it was just only one. There every day actually you think about things. I think a couple of big things that come to mind. Number 1, after the tornado, I wish we had done a better job of communicating why we need to recover in this fashion. We didn't do a very good job of articulating the challenges, the nearly $1 billion in infrastructure problems, the poverty issues, the zoning issues, and that created a lot of distrust at the very beginning. And I take full responsibility for that. I would do that the way we approach that. I would do it over again.
Did you ever break down during that period? Just to digress here for a second. I mean, was there a private moment when maybe you, your wife, maybe you, who knows, where, I mean, you just had tears in your eyes and it just hit you like a tidal wave of emotion?
Probably the worst moment for me was we were out at Cedar Crest on a Friday. The president had been there earlier that day. Debris was piled up all around you. You couldn't see anything except I could look southwest, and on the horizon, 3 homes in Forest Lake were on fire. And I hadn't slept, and it just felt like we were throwing rocks against a battleship. And I really thought that, okay, you know, I give up, I quit. But I had an earpiece because I was getting ready to go live with Anderson Cooper on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, in 10. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, buck up, man.
Got to do it.
Got to do it. You know, that was probably the lowest point. But I will say that recovery was, to me, not emotionally as difficult because you weren't dealing with people who couldn't find their children or people who lost their children. But getting 5,000 property owners to determine how you want to rebuild your future is 5,000 different opinions of what that future should look like.
Right.
And so creating a vision that tries to make the majority of people happy was one of the greatest professional challenges of my lifetime.
You're a crown jewel.
Agreed.
You can't get out of here without predicting the ball game. What do you think?
31-17, and I think it sets up beautifully for a couple of reasons. Number 1, all week, Clemson has become the trendy pick because of the way they obliterated Ohio State. Alabama has been, their stock has been gone down a little bit because of the performance against Washington. I think all that plays in. You've got Nick Saban, who's the master motivator. I think Sarkisian is going to inject some new enthusiasm, and I think the Alabama offense is going to look really well, and the defense is really not happy with what happened last year.
31-17.
31-17 Bama.
All right, it's a matter of public record.
Hey, have you made your mayorly wager yet?
Well, you know what? I had never gone out and made a wager. We've always been approached.
Okay.
This year, people are learning their lesson.